Welcome into the I-80 Boys podcast here. We got LSU versus USC. Christian, big game. I'll talk about USC, and then I'll kick it over to LSU for you. USC, man, out with Caleb Williams, in with Miller Moss. We saw Miller Moss last year in the bowl game, threw for 6 touchdowns, dude. This guy was awesome. He looked good. No shock there. As we know, Lincoln Riley-led offenses have great quarterbacks, and they're going to put up points. I don't see anything differently offensively with USC this year. Look, now they did lose. I think it was Marshawn Lloyd, the running back. He's off. I think he's in the NFL now too as well. And he had a really good year last year. Actually, shockingly, USC ran the ball really well overall last year if you're looking at the stats. But it'll be on Mississippi State transfer Woody Marks and Quentin Joyner to carry the load this year at the running back spot. And at wide receiver, they lost their 2 top targets in Tajay Washington and Brendan Rice. But look for Zachariah Branch. This kid's been hyped up. Probably to be their best receiver this year, in my opinion, for SC. So I expect him, like I said, to have a big year. Now, defensively, this is what I wanted to talk about. We've beat it to death this offseason. They were god-awful last year. They couldn't get off the field on third down. They were mediocre in takeaways. They were 118th in the country in scoring defense, which was atrocious last year. And that's the thing. I mean, they got to get this thing turned around. They brought in UCLA defensive coordinator DeAnthony Lynn, who did a tremendous job with UCLA. So I think that's going to be huge. I actually think that was the biggest addition that SC could have done this offseason, and they did that. So I expect the SC defense to be better. And one thing with USC, guys, we know they have a ton of talent. It's not like they lack talented players on the defensive side of the ball. Bear Alexander, Jamil Muhammad, and you got Eric Gentry back again. I mean, they got really good players. These guys are going to be in the NFL. So it's on Lynn to get them to play together as a unit and step up defensively. So with that being said, Christian, I'm going to kick it over to you to LSU and tell me about those Tigers.
Yeah, Chris. I mean, look, Brian Kelly and the Tigers, they lose a lot offensively going into this year. So let's start off by just listing everything that they've lost, right? They're do-it-all Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, Jaden Daniels, right? Who also led the team in rushing, by the way. They lose out on wide receivers Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors, right? Guys who put up video game-like numbers for them last year. Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator. And their best running back, in Logan Diggs to the transfer portal. With all that being said, let's look at what the Tigers are bringing back this year and how the offense is going to kind of look in this matchup. Look, we know Garrett Nussmeier is going to be the guy. He's going to look to lead the charge against USC going into this one. He's been pretty good, right? In spot duties for LSU, putting up over 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns and limited work over a 3-year period. So I'm not too worried about that. But he's going to look to guys like Kyron Lacey, Mason Taylor, and Liberty transfer CJ Daniels to help him out in the passing game. Of course, we know last year USC finished ranked 101st in passing yards allowed. And, look, their new defensive coordinator, and you talked about him here, DeAnthony Lynn here. Last year, UCLA was middle of the pack at stopping the pass. So look for LSU to try and take advantage of that, I think, in this one early. The run game will look towards Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson to take more of a workload this year. Because Nussmeier is not going to be, the same kind of running quarterback that Jaden Daniels was. We know that. So they need something as far as a run game to progress and get back to that, traditional style, I would say. I would say their offensive line is going to be pretty good, and they should keep Nussmeier upright for most of the day, I would say. Look, on defense, and you talked about it, this is the tale of both these teams, the defense, right? LSU has a new defensive coordinator, right? Blake Baker, who comes over from Mizzou. Last year, we know LSU was pretty bad on defense. They gave up 30 points or more in 8 games last year. Okay, that's a lot. I would say USC can put up points, but the big question for me is going to be, can LSU put pressure on Miller Moss, right? USC gave up 33 sacks last year, which was ranked 98th in the country. We're talking about this defense here, right? It's going to be led by the linebackers, Harold Perkins and Greg Penn III. They combined for 9.5 sacks and 163 tackles, right? For me, the question is going to be, who's going to be that guy, along that front seven, that defensive line, to rise to the occasion to make their life easier, Chris? As far as the secondary, we know they have a little experience, like guys like Major Burns and Sage Ryan, but without much of a pass rush, they finished 115th in the country in terms of passing yards allowed. So with that, let's get into the score prediction, Chris. I got LSU 27, USC 34.
Whoa. Damn, I thought you were going to ride with LSU here. Look, I'm going to one-up you on the stat thing, though, here before I give my prediction. Did you know USC last year was 8-1 when they scored over 40 points a game? They were 0-4 when they didn't. So this game could, could be a shootout. I don't know, but I had to throw that out there at you to top your LSU Tigers defense there. So, no, with the prediction, though, the score here, I have USC 33. I have LSU 30. I think this game is going to come down to the wire. It should be a very fun game to watch. A lot of talent on both sides of the ball. A lot of playmakers out there, too. But I think Nussmeier's a great quarterback. I think Miller Moss is going to be one of the best. I do. I mean, there's no reason not to believe that under a Lincoln Riley-led team. So, what's your thoughts on that, Christian, kind of how this game goes, and what made you switch your mind up and take USC in this one?
Yeah, I've been leading USC for a while. I just think, look, USC has more talent, spread out through their entire defense, and I like their defensive coordinator hire a lot more. Look, I'm not saying that, LSU's defensive coordinator, who is it, Blake Barnett, or Blake Baker, I should say, isn't a good hire. I just think, look, Missouri at times last year when they played offenses, they got lit up too. Let's not kid ourselves about that. I know that DeAnthony Lynn last year, at UCLA, I remember going into that thinking, UCLA, they're not going to be very good. They lost this, and that. They got a first-time defensive coordinator. It is going to be what it is. And they actually played really well. I think USC is set up, to be successful in that regard. And again, like we said, this game comes down to whoever's going to have the best defense. We know both these teams can put up points in bunches. It's going to be who can make a stop. Let me ask you, Chris, what made you take LSU? Or did you take USC?
I took USC, by 3.
Okay,
no,
good.
I've been on it all offseason, Christian. I just think with basically what you just said, I just think that USC's done more in the offseason. LSU swung and missed on a lot of guys in the portal defensively this offseason. So do I think LSU is going to be a terrible team this year? No, I don't. But it's kind of funny here. I know we're going against the grain here because LSU is favored by about 4.5, 5 points in this game. So we're both taking USC to win this one. So I'm sure we'll catch a lot of shit in the comments here before it from the LSU fans. But no, I just think this is going to be a really good game all around. Like I said, wouldn't shock me if LSU wins this one. But I think this game is huge for both teams, though, as far as momentum goes throughout the season. Like I said, I love the fact that these two teams get to play each other. If they would have played each other last year, Christian, the game would have been scored in the hundreds. I guarantee it. So it would have been fun to watch. But we get it this year. Both teams should be good. I'd like to see both defenses improve. So, both these teams could potentially find themselves in a playoff spot.